Welcome back to the weekend with Anthony Opperman. Just got done talking with Phil Skaggs of the Richmond Ballet and of the cast of the Nutcracker. Certainly thanks to Phil for that conversation. Again, something you don't often think about ballet dancers as athletes and the amount of athleticism that's required of ballet dancers in order to do their job and make it look so effortless. And at the end of that interview, said we were going to switch gears completely and talk our fishing segment with Chris Dunnavant. So without fail, we're going to do that right now. Welcome back in, Chris. And it's good to be back in studio with you, buddy, after being in Dallas last week. Obviously, we had Bob Duncan on. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Glad to be here and ready to talk about fishing.
Well, this whole segment has been devoted, or this whole hour has been devoted to a holiday theme. Obviously, talk with the cast member from the Nutcracker. And so I wanted to kind of take our fishing segment, our wildlife segment, in that same vein and look at it as a holiday theme for this as well. And basically what I wanted to do this week, Chris, was have Chris Dunnavant's holiday gift-giving guide to the angler in your family. And maybe we could come up with a little bit shorter name. I don't know if that's as brief as we want it to be. But I figured, you know what? We got a week before the holidays. If somebody's really scrambling to get gifts for that angler in their family, what would Chris Dunnavant want to see under his tree on Christmas morning? So we're going to do this on 3 levels. The first level is stocking stuffers. The second level is going to be gifts that you could wrap and put under the tree. And then the third level is those fantastic gifts, kind of like what you referenced off the air, like getting the Lexus out in your driveway on Christmas morning. And I would want to know your one fantastic, huge, big holiday gift that Chris Dunnavant would want. So first and foremost, let's start off with the stocking stuffers.
Absolutely. You know, one thing is this time of year, anglers, I think it's wise if you, have some things that you want to get a list out to your friends and family. This is a great time for some of those things that you've always wanted to let them know. So maybe you don't get that bad tie that you really are not going to wear. Let your folks know. Make a little list of some things you want. But if you've got an angler in your family and they haven't made that list for you, a couple stocking stuffers. I like to think about gifts for anglers is we can be very practical and we just buy the things we need, and there might be some nicer stuff that we don't necessarily invest the money in, but Christmas is an opportunity for you to give a gift that's something that angler normally wouldn't buy for himself. So I'm thinking like a great stocking stuffer would be, you can have your $3 pair of needle nose pliers, but they're really making some nice pliers now. Like they're made of aluminum. They're really light. They're very strong. They have really ultra sharp cutting edges, and they have extra little tools on them and a lanyard and a sheath and things like that. And they're becoming very popular, and that would be a real nice gift because that's the kind of thing you're probably not going to go and spend $20 or $30 on a pair of pliers. But as an angler, if you got that, you'd love it. You'd be really happy to have it, but it's something you probably wouldn't get on your own. So that's a good one. I think always fishing lures are good. Can be a little risky if you don't know what the angler likes because we can be pretty particular and like, hey, we don't really like that color, but might want to try to sneak in and get a few hints in about what they're interested in.
Is there a safe bet when it comes to lures? Is there like 1 or 2 different types of lures that are typically pretty standard that any angler could use?
Yeah, sure. You would definitely want to know what type of fishing the angler does. So, if they're a bass angler, you could probably be pretty safe with some rattle trap type baits. Those are good baits. And when you go to your tackle shop, you can ask, hey, I don't know what to get, but I want to get something that's the tried and true bait. For a striper angler, you can get them some bucktail jigs. If they're a saltwater angler, get them some gulp grubs, some stuff like that. Some of those basics always can be safe with that. But go to your tackle shop and say, hey, here's the kind, the guy I'm getting something for, the gal I'm getting something for, she's a bass angler. So what are some of the basics that I can get? But I would trust on the tackle shop to help you out with that.
Getting joined by Chris Dunnavant from the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries. All right, Chris, we've covered the stocking stuffers. Now, what would be a couple of things that you would want to open up under your tree on Christmas morning?
Definitely, it's a great time to get a new rod and reel. I mean, that is, I know one tournament angler that he used to ask every year for that nice fishing rod, that like G Loomis rod, which is a real nice rod. He would just take every year to get an opportunity to kind of build up the quality of his arsenal. And so, this is a great time to get that angler, that nice quality rod and reel, the quality reel that's super light compared to some of the lower end or something like that, and a gift that would be really appreciated, a nice upgrade rod and reel for sure.
Now, I know we're kind of running up against the holiday deadline, so to speak. How much should one budget for a really nice rod and reel? I mean, if you were going to get, a really high-quality rod and reel, something that is sturdy that can last, what would that budget range look like?
Well, rods and reels are like anything. You can get stuff up to $1,000, for a rod and reel or even more. But for a high-end quality bass outfit, I would think, $300 to $400. That would be your high-end, $225 rod and maybe $150 to $199 reel. But you don't have to go that. You can get a real nice outfit for a couple $100. We're talking about quality stuff here. Not to say that a $100 outfit isn't really good, but there definitely is a difference in weight and sensitivity. When I compare, a $50 rod that I have with a $200 rod that I have, it is just really phenomenal. I mean, it's really something. I mean, it's something that an angler that fishes a lot will appreciate, having that really sensitive, nice piece of equipment in their hand.
Anything else that you'd like to open up under your tree on Christmas morning in terms of the angler's perspective?
Sure. They're making some nets now that, a net is one of those things that's just so cumbersome in the boat. It's this, big head on it, and it just doesn't seem to fit anywhere. Well, they're making some nets now that actually they collapse and slide into the handle. So you just have a pole to basically to store in your rod locker or somewhere in the side of the boat or in a rod holder, and it just, comes out and you've got your net. So it's the kind of thing that maybe the angler would say, I got a net. I'm not going to spend, whatever it is, $40 or $50 for this net. But the angler who had that would so appreciate it, such a convenience. So that would be another good idea.
All right. Well, we've covered the stocking stuffer. We covered the gift that you'd want to open up under your Christmas tree. Now, what would your Lexus be? What do you want to see sitting out in the driveway with a big red bow on it?
Oh, yeah. The big red bow gift would definitely be for me. And I think ultimate boat for Virginia would be a Ranger. It's called like a bass and bay boat. And what it is, it's like a bass boat, but instead of having carpet, it's got a nice outdoor fiberglass exterior. And what would be great about that is, in Virginia, you could use that in all, of course, the rivers and lakes for bass fishing, but it would be perfect for the bay, for the saltwater rivers, for fishing the flats up in like Lynn Haven and Rudy, for redfish and for speckled trout. And, you could still even fish it in electric motor-only lakes with the trolling motor like a bass boat. So you're talking about a rig that would just be awesome for everything. And that would be, it'd be a nice gift. And it would be awesome to have something like that. But
sounds like you've thought this one through. I don't think that was, you didn't have to think about that one very much.
No, I didn't. It would definitely be if, I love the bass boat that I have, but that would be the ultimate upgrade, and that would be nice to have the little jingle playing, under the tree or something on Christmas morning and go out. I
think you're just getting the stocking stuffer, but instead it's the keys to the boat.
That's right.
Hey, Chris Dunnavant from the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, the holiday edition of our wildlife segment here on the weekend with Anthony Opperman. Chris just gave his holiday wish list. Chris, we are getting into the holiday spirit here on the show. We've talked about the last couple of weeks that we were giving away that Magellan eXplorist 610 GPS device, and today's the day that we get to announce our winner. And we would like to congratulate Mr. Doug Park for his submission to our Opperman's Biggest Catch contest. And just a little background that Doug gave on this picture. He took it on a fishing trip to Canada. It was on the French River with his family. 10-pound, 31-inch walleye caught on medium-light tackle with 10-pound test. He said it was an awesome fight. It was bigger than his net was, and he was so nervous that he was going to lose it. But he said by far and away the greatest fish that he's ever caught. The description makes it sound great, but Chris, the picture we've got of Doug holding that walleye just as great.
It makes me, I want to go right now. I mean, looking at this picture, and, it's just beautiful. Fishing up north, I've had a couple opportunities to do that, and it is just gorgeous up there. The scenery, the rock formations, the color of the water, and the fishing is fantastic. They have a short season, so when the weather is right, the fish, they don't get a lot of pressure because there's half the year they're not fishable because there's ice. So the fishing is just fantastic, and this is a beautiful walleye, and just looks like a perfect day. I'm ready to go.
So congratulations to Doug Park, winner of the Magellan eXplorist 610 GPS device valued at $450. Happy holidays, Doug, from the weekend with Anthony Opperman and Chris Dunnavant.
Yes, congratulations, Doug.
Chris, it happens so quickly every week, but we're almost out of time. Any fishing plans for the holiday weekend?
Absolutely. I'm actually planning on fishing this weekend, and I look forward to some time off, and if the weather is right, I will be fishing during the holiday season some. I love fishing in the wintertime. And, one thing is if you don't like fishing in the winter, this is the great time of year to get your, Bob talked about last week about getting his tackle and, getting his equipment ready and having everything ready. This is the great time of year to do that, get your stuff cleaned up and prepared for the next season. But if you can, get out and enjoy some great wintertime fishing. The ponds are good. Tidal rivers are great. Crappie fishing is good. The catfishing is good. So hope you get a chance to get out there.
Well, and the other thing, too, and knock on wood, I don't know how long this is going to last, but so far it has been an incredibly mild winter. I may have just jinxed it by saying that, but, earlier this week having temperatures near 70 degrees at the end of December, that's pretty incredible.
It is. It's the weather has been amazing this fall, and, I'm sure it's not going to last, but enjoy it while we have it. And, I fish throughout the winter. When we get that real hard, cold time, and, I might not fish as much then, or I might choose to go to a place that has a hot water discharge. There's several places like that you can go and fish in Virginia. But, those are times maybe to get your equipment ready and stuff like that. But yeah, there is, even this mild weather just makes it a lot more comfortable for the angler. But there's still good fishing in Virginia, even when it gets really cold and nasty. I've been out there where there's ice on the rods, and my hands just feel like I can't even move them. You have to go and take a little break and just to warm up so you can cast again. But and I've had some great days during those times.
Chris Dunnavant from the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, our weekly wildlife conversation. Chris, last one for 2011. We'll catch up again in 2012. Happy holidays, buddy.
Happy holidays to you. Thanks. I've enjoyed it and looking forward to next year.
Chris Dunnavant for the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, our weekly wildlife conversation. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll give you my game plan for the weekend as we wrap things up. Final show before the holidays here on The Weekend with Anthony Opperman.
The show is almost over, but the weekend is just getting started. More of The Weekend with Anthony Opperman is next on Sports Radio 910.